Starting it over. All right, Campbell, when we talk about the pitchers, you know to chime in, right, and say that we lost. Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to another edition of Rebel Watch. I'm Carson Waire. Jayson Kern in here on a Friday, hanging out. NewsWatch Sports reporter and NewsWatch Sports anchor Campbell Holmes also in here with us for this edition of Rebel Watch. Going to cover a couple things. Obviously, the Super Bowl went down last Sunday. We'll discuss that. Baseball, first game going on right now as we record this show. Very exciting stuff. Talk about the softball team coming off a very successful season last year, looking to build on that. And the women's basketball team, still rolling. Definitely all interesting things to be covered today. Going to start things on the diamond, the defending national champion Rebels. They're in action against Delaware, starting things off. You lose some pieces from last year from that squad. You lose Elko, you lose Graham. A couple guys that really had big impacts. But we're going to start things off talking about the pitching staff a little bit and just, what to make of this as we start this year, because, a lot of question marks surrounding it. DeLucia cashing in that ace season, going to the MLB. That makes sense for him. Hunter Elliott, the guy, Golden Spikes Award, watch list for this season. Jayson, just talk a little bit about what's going on with this pitching staff.
We know for one thing, Hunter Elliott will be the Friday starter throughout the entire season as long as he stays healthy. The big question surrounds this pitching staff is who's going to be the Saturday starter and who will be the Sunday starter. A lot of rumors going around that Doherty might be the new closer with Mallets going out for the season. But then you have the addition of Saunier, who's a true freshman who can make his debut, and then you have Xavier Rivas, who could also join the rotation for the weekend.
Definitely. So some question marks, but hopefully some things that end up working out for us in this season. We saw some things last year, some guys really stepping up, especially towards the end in the bullpen or lockdown for us in the College World Series. We're hoping to see some things like that this year. Definitely a tough schedule. We'll get into that a little bit more later in the segment. Tough schedule, playing some tougher out-of-conference games too. You play Maryland, who was, some people say one play away, one call away from going to the Supers last year against UConn. So some pretty strong teams coming in here, especially right out of the gate. Campbell, I'll flip this to you about the batting order. As we said, you lose Graham, you lose Elko, but you've still got Jacob Gonzalez, a projected top 5 pick in the MLB draft. What's going on with this batting order? What can we see? What are we going to see from Mike Bianco in these lineups?
Exactly, Carson. I think Jacob Gonzalez is going to be a huge leader this season for the Rebels. I mean, starting in 65 games this season at shortstop. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to be a leader. Obviously, we're still, sad as fans for Tim Elko, Kevin Graham, Justin Bench. These are 3 guys that help the Rebels get to that championship. But, I do think Jacob Gonzalez and also people like senior Garrett Wood and juniors Kemp Alderman, Calvin Harris, I think they're going to fill in some big shoes for the Rebels. And, starting off with Alderman, I mean, he started 58 games of the 61 he played. And, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of experience on the field for these Rebels. But I do, back on Jacob Gonzalez, do think he's going to be a great leader for the Rebels this season.
And with the loss of Tim Elko, Justin Bench, Kevin Graham, we got some great additions this offseason. Again, Ethan Groff, who hit just over 400 at Tulane last year. And then you're getting first base transfer from Northwestern, Carloco, who had 13 bombs last year for the Wildcats. And then you have Grayson Saunier, who's a great freshman. He's going to be great. And then Calvin Harris behind the plate. Big shoes to fill with Dunhurst, but Calvin Harris is projected as the #1 SEC catcher coming into the season, so look for him to make some big plays this season.
Definitely. Calvin Harris, a lot of pop in that bat, too, as we saw in the College World Series as that season got to the tail and had some clutch hits, some big home runs, things like that. The SEC, though, tough as always, even tougher this year than normal. Got a lot of teams in the SEC, East and West, in the top 10 for the national rankings. You got Arkansas, you got Tennessee, you got Texas A&M. all these schools, just to name a few. Campbell, just talk a little bit about how tough is it going to be for the Rebels this year?
It's going to be pretty tough, I'll say that. LSU is looking very strong this season. I mean, they were projected to be number 1 in the preseason ranking before all of these games starts. I mean, 6 players on their roster are on the freshman top 100 list. So, I mean, they have some players that are really going to help them out there. And, they do have a second-year coach, Jay Johnson. He's trying to keep the Tigers to get some good wins. Obviously, they, back in Baton Rouge, they know what it's like to win a College World Series. I mean, they won 5 in between 1991 and 2000. So, I mean, they know what it's like to win, and I think that they're really going to try and do some good things there this season. So, yeah, I think it will definitely be a little trouble for the Rebels to keep up with them, I do think.
We're gearing up. We're excited. The baseball season just underway. We're going to take a short break. We're going to talk about the softball team, a very promising campaign ahead of them. All that. Don't go anywhere. Rebel Watch is on now.
It's that time of the year again, fellas. When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive that Mississippi heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places, and if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
Where are we gonna go?
Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi.
To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove. The sound and fury are here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Did he got a toe down?
Pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled.
This stadium has come unhinged.
This is what college football is all about.
Oh, as he gets walloped.
No coach is having more fun than Lane Kiffin.
This is the place to be in college football right now.
Welcome back to Rebel Watch. I'm Carson Waire, with me, Jayson Kern and Campbell Holmes in here. Just heard us discuss a little bit about the baseball team. We'll stay on the diamond, talk about the softball team. 42-19 record last year. Really, really high winning percentage. The squad looks very, inspired. Looks like they're having fun out there. All the celebrations and things. Look, they had a great time out there. Good season. Swept Missouri, who was ranked 19th at the time. Some big wins. And they're looking to carry that momentum into this year. And so far, they've been doing that. Jayson, what's been going on with the team so far this season?
Solid start. So far, 4-2. Only 2 losses have come against ranked opponents that were Oregon and Oklahoma State. But 2 huge wins that stood out were over Wisconsin, we beat them 6-2, and over North Carolina, 6-1. And we also just swept 2 games in one day against North Dakota State, bringing us to 4-2 on the season. So it's been a pretty solid start.
Yeah, and just like baseball, SEC softball is getting to be a tough competition this year, as I have seen. The Rebels, they're starting off great, but I do think they're definitely going to have some competition in the SEC, just like baseball is going to be having this season.
Definitely. A lot of emphasis being placed on that Rebel pitching staff. You know, Ole Miss, decent offensively last year, but definitely not one of those teams that can hit the ball out of the ballpark all the time. So Riley and Furbush are really going to be the two. You know, Furbush not as much action last year, about 6th or 7th on the team in innings pitched, but had an ERA under 3. So definitely some key contributors. And Ole Miss is going to look to win these games, sort of these low, grinded out, pitch well, play good defense, those kind of games. And that's their style of play. And, you know, as we mentioned, the SEC is super tough. You got all these great programs, a lot of teams with a lot of firepower. And, you know, we'll see how it shakes out this season. A long season ahead of us. Look for this team to get some more big wins, though. Definitely, for sure. And we're going to wrap up that segment. We'll be back to discuss the Super Bowl. Very, very exciting game. One of the better Super Bowls in a long time that I've watched.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. Rebel Watch is on.
Legacy isn't just about where you're from, it's about where you're going. So where are you going?
I'm going to be the first in my family to graduate.
I'm going to make a difference.
Just like my granddad.
I'm going to make the bestseller list.
And I'm going to help him get there.
I'm going to win a championship.
Again! I'm going to lock the vault! Hotty toddy!
I'm going to take the next step.
I'm going to bring them to their feet.
I'm going to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Build your legacy.
Ole Miss 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snow Collins for 3. Bring it up.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. It's the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Welcome back to Rebel Watch. We thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. I'm Carson Waire, with me, Jayson Kern, Campbell Holmes. So the Super Bowl went down this past Sunday. Big game, one of the better Super Bowls in recent history. Definitely a super entertaining game. Philly and Kansas City went all the way down to the wire. Jason, Philly sort of, I wouldn't say they dominated the first half, but they made some big plays in the first half, and the whole game ultimately came up short. But talk a little about what were they able to do? They definitely had some success in that game.
I mean, they took a very comfortable 10-point lead into the half. And when you look at that first half, they pretty much dominated on all cylinders. Offense was great. Defense was looking pretty good, keeping Mahomes in check. A.J. Brown, our very own Ole Miss alumni, with a touchdown in the first half. They looked solid. I just don't know what happened in the halftime speech, or what happened at halftime, that things just totally shifted.
I think I know what happened, Jason. I think Rihanna's red costume got the Chiefs back in check, and let me tell you, the Chiefs really got in check in the second half. I mean, Mahomes re-injuring his ankle second quarter, kind of a scare for the Chiefs, but coming back into the second half, I mean, they knew what they were doing, and obviously they came back opening up the second half. Mahomes led a 75-yard drive, ending up into a touchdown. And, you know, I think their key player in the second half was Kadarius Toney. He got the defense going. He got, well, not defense, but he really got the attitudes going for the Chiefs in the second half. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, he was able to score a touchdown for the Chiefs, and obviously they did end the game winning with a 27-yard field goal by Harrison Butker. And so, yeah, I think the Chiefs definitely deserve to win the game. I was rooting for them, not going to lie, but I think that they definitely deserve.
It's hard to beat Mahomes.
It is hard.
Hard to beat Mahomes.
Definitely. And just a little bit about Jalen Hurts, Jason. What a special player he is. 3 rushing touchdowns, and I mean, we just haven't really seen a guy like this, have we? You know, you've got the Lamar Jacksons of the league, the guys that are really sort of skinny and fast. Hurts is like a tank running there. He's like a Nick Chubb, like a running back. Inside the 5, it's just direct snap to him and let him run it in. It's crazy, isn't it?
Even with the loss, you could still make an argument that he should have won Super Bowl MVP with the way he played out there. He carried the team on his back almost the entire game, running, passing, just doing it all, just being an absolute great leader, and it shows what bright of a future Jalen Hurts has.
Definitely. One of the premier players in football, one of the premier young players too. And a feel-good story as well. You know, the guy obviously gets kicked around a little bit in college, you know, ends up transferring to Oklahoma, has a great season there, and now doing big things in the NFL despite all those question marks about him. Campbell, I'll ask you, you know, talk a little bit about how about this inspiring performance from Patrick Mahomes when we're talking about great quarterback play? I mean, a guy that gets hurt earlier in the playoffs, hurts himself again, still comes out, leads his team to a victory.
No, exactly. And, you know, I think that his attitude throughout the whole process was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, there was one video I saw later after the Super Bowl game, and he was mic'd up during the game when he re-injured his ankle. And I mean, just like the attitude he had, he told one of his coaches, I'm going back out there and I'm winning this game for my team. So I really do think his attitude throughout the whole process, re-injuring, going back into the game, I really do think he had a Super Bowl championship attitude there.
A very, very outstanding game as that NFL season wraps up. A really, really great note, honestly, to wrap up the NFL season. It was a really, really entertaining season with tons of great games. So we will wrap that up. We'll be back in just a little bit. We're going to take a short break. Talk about the women's basketball team. Coach Yo's got that team rolling fourth in the SEC.
It's fun to watch.
Hopefully an NCAA tournament berth. That's just looking right now. It's looking like that's going to happen. So we'll be right back in here on Rebel Watch to talk about that.
Creating a legacy takes time, takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact.
Dagger with the shot clock down to 1. That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple. Burrell for 3, and that's a big response.
Yes, Miss shooting lights out of the pavilion.
And give him one more.
Wow, alley-oop. Well, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible. From conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
Welcome back to RebelWatch. I'm Carson Waire, with me, Jayson Kern and Campbell Holmes. Wrapping up this Friday edition, thank you again for making us a part of your weekend. So we're going to end things off on the court talking about the women's basketball team. Coach Yo and her squad making a pretty strong push in the SEC with some other teams that are really, really, really talented. So pretty impressive stuff so far this season. Big win over Kentucky the other night. Campbell, just talk a little about that. What was going on? The team, honestly, in the end ended up dominating, winning by a big score.
Oh, yeah. Lady Rebels are really kicking it off this season, can't you all tell? Like, obviously, a big win from the big win for the Rebels by the Wildcats. This win was their 20th win of the season. This is the first time they've done it in 2 consecutive seasons. Last time was 1993-94 season that they were able to do this. I mean, big numbers by big players. Angel Baker, senior, she got her 2,000th career point in this game, which was a big milestone for her. She ended off the game with 7 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, pretty good numbers from Baker. And there's also some good points from Marquisha Davis. She led the team with 14 points. Obviously, great offense by the Rebels, winning 74-52. I think that the Lady Rebels are going to be doing very good things this season thus far. I mean, obviously, they're having some really big wins with really big teams.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, Angel Baker been really good rebounding-wise, despite, she's a guard, but doing a really big thing on the boards, making a big contribution there. So, say we're a little early to it. I don't think we are. Jayson, the tournament's right around the corner. SEC tournament and March Madness. It's time to start talking about these projected seedings. Right now, most projections that you'll find, they might differ a little bit, but for the most part, the general consensus is the Rebels will be an 8 seed in the tournament. Jayson, talk a little bit about, what does that mean for us in terms of the path to a potential championship, and what are some things we can do to maybe up that, because if you can get that 7 or that 6 seed, it really can make a huge difference in the end.
What's ridiculous to me is how this team is having such an amazing season, and we're 25 and we're still not ranked. It's crazy how we're still not ranked. And with the game on Sunday, got the big bad #1 squad, the South Carolina Gamecocks, coming into town. If we can find a way to upset the South Carolina Gamecocks, no reason we shouldn't be a top 10 team in the nation. And right now we're projected 8 seed, but that will only go up with South Carolina coming to town. It's going to be a fun environment at the Pavilion here in Oxford.
Definitely. Very, very exciting stuff so far this season, and we still got a lot of action left. Coach Yo leading her team into hopefully a deep tournament run. We would love to see that. We're very proud of them so far, and we know they're going to make us proud even more as the season goes on.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Rebel Watch. We're here every Fridays at 5. I'm Carson Waire, Jayson Kern, Campbell Holmes. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.